So
right? When they
let me
say,
unpack this is a little bit, well,
Mhm,
let me unpack it. Yes, it's a great model. Let me start with saying that agile means innovation. Agile means trial,
mhm,
try
mhm,
in fast,
mhm,
fast action, try it again. So bringing agile is very important in the picture. The other
mhm,
thing is the human factor cannot be really talked about enough.
mhm,
And what I'm telling people that work with us is before anything happens with AI, humans have to come to an understanding. Understanding
mhm,
means trust. Understanding means sharing. Understanding
mhm.
means this agile mind that you bringing. So don't start with AI because if you start with AI, you start about data, but people don't talk data. You and I are not exchanging, coded digits.
Uh-huh.
So it starts with the human model, and we are actually, excuse me, in AKFI, we are looking at something we call the sustainable RFI, request for information, which is how humans and companies have to agree, right? The
Mhm,
companies and their suppliers. And then you brought another important topic, which is the digital transformation has to happen before AI. So, for instance,
mhm,
in the Cornell model, we're looking for a model of four phases, starting with where is your data, how
mhm,
accessible it is, and
mhm,
eventually ending up with transformation at the level of culture, at the level of people being, uh, as we discussed already, working comfortably and easily with AI. AI is a tool, AI is an instrument, AI is
mhm.
not a person. So we need to learn how to use it in a proper way. So it's an amazing model, and really thank you for sharing. And yes, AI for business, it's built on these layers, in my view, right? First, starting with people coming to a common understanding your digital transformation process, which
Mhm,
brings AI, but you don't start with AI, you start with data, as you mentioned, and
mhm.
then you can build on top of it. So it's a
Absolutely.
great model.
You
Thank you for
know, when we
sharing with.
talk about, oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Manuel. And when we talk about AI for innovation, something that we really love, I mean, we were working with this bank. This bank is lends money for agriculture. So it's not the typical, but they really want to help out the people, the farmers, and say, well, how can we get to as many people as possible in the fastest way possible? And that's where, again, AI can help us in an incredible way. Because what we saw is that almost in every place, it doesn't matter how far they are, all the farmers had a phone. No, no, so now that we know that the farmers had a phone, how can we get to the farmers through the phone to help them understand what are the new things that they can use and how they can become more sustainable? And also, for example, depending on what they were doing and what they were farming, what are the things that can help them? So this is why we created avatars that became like their friends, like their coaches, where they can talk to them and say, hey, and actually they can do it in any language and say, hey, well, this is happening in my crops. What is your idea? And then they can have a discussion with the avatar, but they can also learn from the avatar. So we would think about what are the things that are important for them to learn, and the avatar would discuss, hey, this is something that would be very important for you in terms of what you're doing because this is the season for, and then would give them information and they could have a discussion with the avatar. And this brought about a lot of incredible results. What for in one part, the farmers were really happy to get this information almost in real time and to have this opportunity. And it was very interesting, Manuel, because there was a farmer. He was around, I believe, around 70 years old, and he was speaking with the avatar in the phone. And then he said, come here, my grandson, come here. Look, I'm speaking with a robot. So it was super funny. But, to bring this, this thing that for some of them would seem like something so far, bring that to their day-to-day activities was incredible. And also the results in terms of saving a lot of money. Yes, because now it was very easy to do, saving a lot of time because they don't have to bring everybody as they did before to have the training in the most, in the nearest city. So, so a lot, we took out all of those expenses, and also we could hear from them, not only to talk to them, but all these are recorded and then analyzed by AI. So we could understand also what were the pains and problems and discussions that were happening in the different countries where this was adopted.
And, absolutely. And you're bringing a very interesting case of leapfrogging because many times people think technologies in the Western world, in the development world, evolve from one to another. We had mainframes, then we had laptops, then we had smartphones or phones, then smartphones. No, people have an amazing ability to leapfrog. So you'll
Mhm.
see using the latest technology that is maybe not available even in developed countries on a large scale, used by people in underdeveloped or developing world.
Mhm.
I think one key
Absolutely.
example would be India, right, where AI can make a lot of inroads, very technologically advanced part of the economy, but in the same time, it's still a rural and developing economy. So it's an amazing example. And also, you brought the issue of microfinancing. There is a lot of green funding, green bonds, and so on. And this can be put in the context of microfinancing as well. So getting some
Mhm.
finance advice on how to buy the crops or get the best, resistant crops, for instance, to environmental changes, and offering financing and offering insurance and so on.
Yes, I completely agree. Sometimes we believe AI is something against humans, and I completely disagree with it. I think AI used in the correct way, in an effective way, not because of course it can be used in the wrong way and to hurt people, but used in the right way with the correct way of using it with the correct mindset, with trying to do good for humanity. I think it's an incredible tool.
And
And
you
this is
said it, the mindset has to be there because really
Mhm.
it's a tool, right? A tool
Mhm.
doesn't have ethics and personality, and it doesn't really separate good from bad. AI doesn't
Yeah.
have a code of ethics in itself. There is let's reserve this for another interview if you want.
Mhm.
But, but humans have ethics, right? And
Mhm.
humans have to know how to use AI in an ethical fashion, in a proper fashion.
Absolutely.
And it starts with the mindset. You know,
Mhm.
do you want to use AI to create problems? You have a tool. You want to solve problems? It's the same tool.
Mhm. I agree completely. And this is when we talk about avatars, we have seen that avatars have been a very good way also of helping people that sometimes they do not want to speak to a human, but they're very comfortable again speaking to a machine. Or when we do, for example, things with leadership. And they say, oh, I'm very good at delivering feedback. But once you put them with an avatar and you say, okay, imagine this is a person that is having, bad performance, that is not having the right attitude, and give her feedback, they usually start and then they suddenly realize, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought about delivering feedback. Because you can see with the avatar not only what he is saying, but also how he's saying it, how the body movement. If he's going like, well, I like your performance, but they don't realize that when they're doing this, I'm saying this, but my body language is saying something different. So it's also good to have these new ideas, new ways of upskilling people in terms of not only what they're saying, but how they are saying it. And this can be good for feedback, for sales, for safety, for sustainability, and why not to take the fear out of doing new things.
And absolutely, and I'm also thinking about the medical profession as well, where the relation between patient and doctor is really based on the capability of the doctor to convey trust.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely. We
so
were working with a company. They have something that they call the ethics line. And what it is for is if it was something wrong in the company and I wanted to I wanted to denounce something that I didn't like or abuse or whatever, um, you can do it through this channel. And what we did is we said, okay, do you want to speak to a human or to an avatar? And more than 80% of people choose an avatar. Why don't they use a human? Because they always think, well, this person is a person. He might tell others that I was, abused or that, somebody told me something, and they're not sure that this person will keep the secret, to say it in an easy way. So they prefer to go to a machine and then, make all the, tell them everything that happened. So then that can be canalized to whatever needs to be done. But it was very interesting that most people would prefer to do it in this way using also AI.
oh, absolutely, and I would think there are other advantages. For instance, AI is not judgmental. People
Uh-huh.
are judgmental. Very well from your profession.
Hmm.
So you avoid judging. As you mentioned, it's privacy. It's also people show emotions,
Hmm.
and sometimes, many times in non verbal fashion, they show rejection, they show doubt, so all these emotions that we convey as a person, by just moving my hands, I show emotions, right? I'm
Exactly.
excited. Uh, uh, the avatar can be objective, and I think objectivity it's primary reason for the people to deal with an avatar. Of course,
Absolutely.
privacy, it's an
Hmm.
essential ingredient. So, do
Yes,
you have any
absolutely.
avatar to get us to talk?
Yeah, I don't, would you like to speak? We can definitely do an example of that. Let me ask Linda to come here. And Manuel, let's imagine, let's put a scenario. Let me think. Let's imagine Linda is part of your team at Cornell, and I know you're doing incredible things. And I know that you're an inspiring leader, and everybody is doing a lot of incredible things in your team. But let's imagine Linda is someone that is a little bit resistant to change. She doesn't like to do a lot of new things. She's a little bit stressed, and she doesn't really want to go into all these AI things because she doesn't really believe that's something she can be good at. So, what would you tell Linda about this? And whenever you're ready, you can just start and say, "Hello, Linda."
Oh, hi, Linda. Hello, Linda. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. I have a really great talk with Victoria today. I really enjoy.
I believe Victoria is amazing, and I want to thank you
Uh,
for this time. I want to speak with
so,
you regarding some concerns. May I share them with you?
okay, absolutely.
Thank you. I like to understand how the AI changes might impact my role in my team. Should I be preparing for any kind of transition soon?
Uh, I don't know much about your job and your role. I definitely we can go deeper in the discussion. But let's start with the fact that AI represents change, and change is nothing new. I'm sure that you've seen change, couple of technology changes uh, in time, right? So probably you are starting your high school with smartphones.
Yes, I know
AI
about change. But if we have been doing things in the right way for so long, why should we change now?
Well, that's a great question. And let me start with a little bit of statistics. Uh, Most of the psychological tests show that about 80% of the people are concerned about change. The test shows concerns about change. Why is change? What change prepares us for? I should ask. Change prefers the change prepares us. I'm sorry. What I mean, this feeling of change, of concern to change, prepares actually us for uh, contemplating change. How do, as humans, we experience change? We start by saying, okay, as you said, all these uh, all these things are working very well right now. We don't need to change. Change is not necessary. So we're starting by saying change is not necessary. Then we start to see other people adopting change, the early adopters, the people, in your example or in your life, you have seen people adopting smartphones. First, the younger generation, then the more adult generation, then the older generations. They incrementally adopted the technology. Why? Because it brings them new services, it brings them new ways of thinking, it brings them help, it brings them company even. This is how you can communicate with your social network, with your family, with your friends. So technology brings change, but I understand your concern, and you should be concerned. Concern is a healthy way to start and explore what are my opportunities, and that was the second part of your question. Your question is, okay, should I get prepared for change? The short answer and the answer is yes, you should always be prepared for change. Now, let's talk a little bit about AI and the change it brings. Most people think AI is another human. It's not. It is a system, it's a machine, it's an environment, it's a tool, it's an instrument, but it's not a human. It's not somebody to replace you, it's somebody to assist you. Now, as you know, when you ask for assistance, when you ask for help, you need to know how to ask for help. And this is where your training comes in, dealing with AI, learning how to use AI to support your job. Now, will bring jobs transformations? Yes. Some jobs which are repetitive, that are delegated to machines for a long time, we have automation in manufacturing, for instance. We don't do a lot of jobs manually. We have tools to move earth when we build buildings, right? When in constructions. When you bring these kind of changes, you should actually think, what is the next job that actually interests me? And how can I use my knowledge? How can I learn about AI? And how can I use the knowledge to actually find another position if my position is a little bit boring?
Do you think AI will replace me?
No, I don't think AI will replace a human. Not with the current technology. Let me put it this way. And I'm a technologist. I'm an engineer, and I happen to be a biomedical engineer, so I know a little bit about humans. You
I
you
don't know why
cannot.
you are smiling. You are smiling while you're saying that I might get replaced. And now I
No,
really
I
feel feared.
okay. You're not getting replaced. You will decide to move on and use AI as a tool. My point is, AI is not human. AI cannot replace a human completely. It can replace certain activities like let's say, reading 3 books for you in 2 minutes and telling you the summary so you can learn more. If you learn, for instance, if you want to read a book, it can do, if you are in accounting, it can do all the jobs of accounting, and it frees time for you to start to think, okay, what are all these numbers I'm adding? What are they good for? Oh, if we look at those numbers differently, we can now use them for uh, a better job, a more interesting job. So let
Manuel,
me
I am so sorry, but I have to run to another meeting. Your explanation has been amazing, and I really feel better now. Thank you so much.
and you'll not be replaced by AI.
That's great to hear. And I hope to see you soon again.
I'll see you soon. Bye,
Bye
Lisa.
bye.
Bye bye.
Wow. So how did you think about speaking with an avatar?
Well, it's natural. It's
Hmm.
I would say many times we use Zoom right now, right? So
Hmm.
we are virtual already, right? That's
Hmm.
a virtual uh,
Exactly.
human exchange of information, communications, right?
Mhm.
So I think we are used to that. And I really liked your example when you said the farmer calling
Mhm.
the kid, calling the nephew, sorry, the grandson or granddaughter. They're saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, come here and see. I'm talking to a robot."
Exactly.
And
What is interesting is it's not only that it can speak with you, but also you realize she said you're smiling. So it can also look at your body language, which is really interesting.
yeah, and,
Mhm.
and I could have provided probably more in-depth answer. I'm smiling because the future is bright.
That is beautiful. And usually, when we do this in another context, you have another avatar that gives you feedback on what you did right, how did, what things were very good from what you said, what gave Linda, for example, a lot of trust. And it's interesting also because then it's not only a session where you're speaking with an avatar, but you also get feedback.
That's that's very good. I would like to listen privately to Linda's feedback about me.
We can definitely plan for that.
No, that's a great demo and a really great way to show to our audience the power of AI, even if it has human-like concerns, right?
Mhm. Absolutely,
It,
absolutely.
it's a little bit interesting for an avatar to say, "I'm going to be replaced by AI."
Exactly. Well, the idea is to make sure that they are as human as possible. But yes. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
we
Hmm.
have one large topic actually, looking at the future in how do you think humans can future-proof careers? What would be your strategic advice for AI and sustainability? Both students, the ones that enter the career, and
Hmm.
professionals, some of them changing mid-career, some of them evolving their careers in sustainability. What would be your advice?
Oh, thank you, Manuel. Well, the first thing is the great thing about AI, and I do believe about a lot of things, and I do a lot of training, and I should not say this, but today training is free. If you really want to learn anything, you can learn it in your phone, in the computer. And I always tell students, if you want to know more about AI, there are so many things out there that are free that you can get seminars to learn about generative AI, about agentic AI, about AI for business. I mean, there's almost no limit about what you can find. There's also many organizations that are delivering free seminars on AI, and you can even ask AI, how can I learn about AI? Depending on what you want to learn about. So there's no excuse today not to learn about AI. And the other thing is, I don't think, age is a thing. Some people say, I am too young to learn about AI, or I am too old to learn about AI. No, I deliver programs about how to program your own GPTs. And one of my best students, she is 83 years old. And at
Wow.
83, she's programming avatars, she's programming GPTs, she's doing agentic AI, which is incredible. So we talk about students, I do believe we are all students, and it doesn't matter the age. We at any age, it's a good time to start learning and to start embracing the future. What I do say is, it's not a good idea is to say this is not, no, I'm closed. This is not going to work. This is not going to be something I will use, because it's like saying I would never use internet or I would never use light. No, so it's right now and a matter of how can you embrace it in the best way possible.
Oh, absolutely. No, I have a model I share with students, and I say, look, start with thinking AI being a library, and start to
Mhm,
think how you're going to ask AI for information. And it's up to
mhm,
you to ask in such a way that the librarian understands really your needs and what you want. And this is
mhm,
a starting point. And people understand, they all went to libraries and so on in their careers, and they say, look, okay, I want a book about this. I want to know about this. And this is exactly what you said. Build your knowledge according to
mhm,
your needs, to your
mhm,
curiosity, to your passions. Not
mhm.
only, don't think it's just a tool to um, address work, right?
Mhm.
Or make the work easier. So that's
Yeah.
that's a really a great discussion. Victoria, I would like to have you back to, and I'm waiting for the next version of Linda and her questions.
Mhm.
I'd like to conclude with thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. Uh, for our audience, make sure to tune in every week for a new episode of AKFI Actionable ESG Talk series. You'll gain new perspectives on how to mitigate risks and create value by integrating ESG and digital transformation with AI. Thank you again.
Thank you.
See you.